Hello, today I've reached a goal and I would like to share that with you and where all that comes from and what is my point today, what I suggest if you want to improve things, what are all the thoughts I had during this challenge. And so what is my challenge? My challenge was 1 year ago, a bit more than 1 year ago, 13, 14 months ago, I created this blog and this channel, and on the premises that I wanted to have an opportunity to speak English so that I can improve myself and but really enjoy speaking English, so doing really something that really matters to me. I wanted to take the time to make as often as possible to make a point with my ideas, my reflections on how to improve my life, how to improve myself, how to improve and change things that matters most to me in my life to get a better life. Because I know that just to take the time to think about it and look at things and say, okay, that can be improved, that was not good, that was better, I need to focus on that. And just take the time to do that, just maybe 5 minutes a day, I know that's very valuable. And then I also wanted to create something new to experiment things, especially on internet. And all based on all that, I created this video, this blog. And right away, there was two things that I said to myself in order to really create something on the long term. The first was, okay, I do that right away because I feel a bit excited about that. It's good, and but I really don't know where it's going to go. And if you go and see my first video, I was really not at ease with my English, even though I still need to continue to improve that. But I got used to speaking English, and it's better today anyway. And that was one of my goals anyway. So I said, okay, I'll do that right away. I start right away because I don't want to think, twice on that and say to myself, maybe it's not the right time. I should wait, or things like that. So I started right away. The second thing was, okay, my challenge was I'll do 100 videos. Whatever happens, I do 100 videos without, thinking again, is it really worthwhile? Should I continue doing that? And so on. Because I knew that obviously 100 videos is a pretty long-term challenge, and it would give me plenty of time to improve, to see what happens, to create new things, to experiment. And that really is something that helps me a lot. That helped me a lot to reach this point today, because it's, as I said, more than 1 year already, and it made things very easy because as you know, I've already spoken of that, but what makes things difficult, or at least appear difficult, and so it's really you really experience difficulties when you want to change something. It's because of all the thoughts you have. You think that's difficult, you perceive difficulties, you perceive fear, you perceive a lot of things, and all that makes things really difficult. And you really experience difficulty in your life because of that, because you postpone things, you delay, you just experiment a bad part that you were not bound to experiment. And by applying just this simple rule, I do 100 videos, and then I think about what happened. Do I continue or not? And so I never had all those thinking. I never thought, okay, should I do it or not? No, never. So it was already very clear. So the thing is, okay, when do I do my next video? And that's it. And that removes all the difficult parts, really. Now the thing was just to improve that, to do it as fun as possible for me, as easy as possible, and that's it. So basically, yeah, that really makes things very easy. Now, what is my point today? My point on how to change things, and one of the main problem, and how you can just simply change that. It's because the point of all my videos is basically is to resolve this problem. One of my big realization is that in the end, life is just an experimentation. and we are here to experiment. And the more you experiment, the better you get. You know, like in a training, if you go training in, let's say, a sport, and you don't experiment new things, you don't improve. If you experiment a lot of new things, you improve. So that's basically what we are here for. And the problem most of the time is that we just take too much time and too much energy to try one single new thing that can last for maybe years, 10 years, 20 years sometimes. And in the end, if we just haven't reached the point we wanted, we say, oh, okay, it's too difficult, that's how life works, and there's nothing I can do about it. But we have just, experimented one thing. For example, I don't know, if in our job, it's far too less. It's if you had experimented, I don't know, 100 things, how better would you be now? It's as simple as that. But it's a new way of perceiving life. And so also one thing which makes things very difficult, it's that most of the time when we want to change something in our life, to, let's say, we have set a goal to ourselves, and the problem is that it's not something that we enjoy creating, we enjoy reaching, building day after day until we've reached this goal, or at least the best we can do. Okay. And the problem is that when we have a goal, most of the time it's because we need that to feel good in our life. And that's the base, I think, of most of the problems. If I need that, it means that where I am right now is not acceptable. I don't accept that because I feel ashamed of my situation. Most of the time I think that's about shame. I feel ashamed that I'm not as good as that. I feel ashamed that I don't know, I don't have enough value or things like that. And all that can be changed. If you think your situation is not acceptable, you're not good enough, you're not valuable enough, and what are you going to do? The problem is that in this situation, we just, refuse to see what we're ashamed of. And if we don't want to see at what is supposedly our problem, we can't change it. That's obvious. And if we can't change it, we will not reach our goal. That's why I think most of the time we give up when we have a challenge. We give up. It seems very difficult. It seems very difficult because we don't accept not to be at this point. Failure is another story that we tell ourselves, that anytime I'm not as good as I want, I feel I have failed and I'm a failure in a way. And if each time I stumble, I feel I'm not good enough, that's a shame, and so on. And that's not true. That's just, I'm building something, I'm learning. That's just the natural process. And the more I'm going to stumble, the better I'm going to be, because it means that I'm experimenting more, I'm learning more, I'm, living more. And that's exactly what I should be proud of. So if we refuse to see and refuse to go through experimentations that makes us better, obviously we can't improve, we can't change things. So perceiving all that another way, we just perceive things just the way that makes us give up, that makes us refuse the situation. And that's mainly the problem. I have another blog in French to learn English for French people. And I really think that one of the big problems is that people want to speak English, they don't want to learn. First reason, because they just do it a way which is really boring and not very efficient. And second reason, because they don't accept not to know, which is completely crazy. But certainly you know that, because we all at certain point have learned another language, certainly at school. And it's good to know another language, but if you don't want to practice, and it's not a boring way, it's just to build something that you want. The only thing you should have in mind is, okay, how can I build that? And each time I climb a step, I feel better, it's really what I want. So that's one of the big reasons why things become difficult. So what I challenge you today is to change all those perceptions, because all that are perceptions. First thing is, okay, as I already said, we're all going to die. All that are just stories that are going to end. And even if I strongly believe that the death of my body is just one part, but I will still be living, but in another dimensions or things, different. It still means that all those stories that I'm living through today are going to be ended, to finish. I don't know when, maybe in 40 years, maybe tomorrow. So just remind that we all know that, we just don't live with this reality. So just come back on that. All that is just stories. And even before my body dies, I die. In 1 year, what will I remember of this story of today? Certainly nothing. It's all that is, we are just living through stories, and those stories die day after day. We don't have to maintain those stories. They are just stories, and if you change your story, you experiment something else, the story of yesterday is no longer truth. So first thing, you don't have to worry about your perceptions of today, your fear and your shame. All that are just feelings too. So more or less stories too, not reality, just something you feel. Now, what is great is that you can do what you want, even though you have some feelings that makes you afraid of creating, experimenting new things. You can still do it, because it's just feelings. If you take steps, you're changing things. So that's also something to realize, that right now, yeah, I can do whatever I want, and it's not that difficult. Actually, it's very easy if I just realize, and I should do something, because in 1 year, all the things that I haven't done, I won't remember all the thoughts and the feelings and the stories that prevented me from moving. I just remember, did I do something? Did I, or not? And that's it. And all those stories are going to die. Now the real challenge is, okay, if you accept the situation right now, it is what it is anyway. Like, yeah, I have a story to tell, but first, the challenge is, okay, what can you do with that? What can you do with that? And imagine someone who's become very rich, someone who's built a lot of companies and become really rich and successful in his life, at least at this level. And let's say that tomorrow is going to do, or today, he loses everything. He has no money left, nothing left. If the person is really good, is the person really worried? Okay, it's maybe a crisis, certainly, but then still the person knows how to create companies, know how to express his value, how to create values, and how to sell that. He knows he has all these abilities. He's able to do that. He knows his value. He's not really worried. He's just going to rebuild. He's perfectly confident. That's what I want you to be. If you know that, and you'll know it only when you'll do it. So just take steps. The more you take steps, the more you realize you can change things. You can really change your life. And the only question is, okay, what can you do now? Show me what you can do. That's the question you should ask yourself. With this question, you can be proud of yourself and say, okay, my feelings, my fears, we all have all those kinds of, bad feelings that are not exactly what we would like. Anyway, you can still, get over all that and take steps. Be proud of yourself. Create something now. The only question is, okay, what can you do with that, what you have right now? And of course, you can do a lot of things. So show me what you can do. I'll do the same on my side, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.